been a hot minute, hasn't it? I said at the end of December that I was going to aim for monthly videos about the wrestling that I've seen and loved each month. I made a video in January and then I disappeared. While it may seem that I just abandoned this channel, the truth is that I got pretty sick. Too sick to make videos, and at one point I was too sick to even watch wrestling for a while. But I'm all good now. I am fixed, officially, and so I'm coming back to this channel properly. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. But since there were a couple of months where I didn't watch wrestling at all, I figured the best way to catch up so that I can go back to monthly videos starting next month is to do an ultimate top 10 of all my favourite matches that I've seen from the beginning of February until the end of July. And that's what this is. These are matches that I've seen for the first time in these past 6 months, not necessarily matches that happened in these 6 months. And I will give a quick heads up. This will almost entirely be AEW matches because up until last week when I started watching some Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, I had only been watching AEW. Also, no pay-per-view matches. This isn't going to be a permanent fixed rule on these monthly videos in the future, but I looked at my list of my favourite matches that I'd watched in the past 6 months, and the top was all dominated by pay-per-views. And that's no surprise really, since there's been 4 of the buggers since I last made a video. But yeah, that's where we're at the minute. Next month will include pay-per-views. But that's all the admin out of the way, so let's get to it. Number 10. Will Ospreay vs Phoenix at PWG 2016 Battle of Los Angeles Night 1. It's Baby Ospreay versus Young Rey Fenix. This is such a fun, fast-paced and exciting match. All the things I look for in my wrestling. This is also the first Pro Wrestling Guerrilla show that I've ever watched. I put it on mainly because the thumbnail was of Dalton Castle. Quite predictable of me and my tastes, and I'm surprised by the amount of faces that have gone on to be featured on the world stage as some of the greats of professional wrestling. But this match proves it's no fluke that both Will and Rey are up there and held in such high regard now, when 9 years ago they were absolutely tearing the roof off in these small venues. As I've said before, I love unpredictable results in my wrestling matches. I like not knowing the outcome, which is why dipping into indie shows with no context is great for me. And with this calibre of performance, I can tell that I'm going to probably be hooked on PWG for a long time. I have a lot of shows to get through. And for extra context, before this match was an excellent showing from Matt Sydal versus John Hennigan, now Johnny TV. And before that we had Ricochet versus Jeff Cobb, who put on an absolute banger. So you should really go watch PWG Battle of Los Angeles 2016 if you get the chance. It's available on High Spots TV. Not sponsored, just love it. Number 9. Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong at AEW Dynamite. When this match was announced, I was immediately intrigued. Their bout at Revolution last year was phenomenal, and this International Championship Series was sudden and seemingly odd announcement, but one that I was very excited about nonetheless, given the lineup. There was a surprising amount of grappling going on at the start of this match, which, I'll be honest, I'm not normally a huge fan of. It's a bit dry for my wrestling taste, if that's the right word to use. But they balanced that out with the goofiness of hugging at ringside that struck this perfect chord that towed the line between the proper graps and the silly fun. Orange Cassidy is always at his best when they allow him to play both sides of that coin, and Roderick Strong in his current Undisputed Kingdom iteration is like the best possible opponent for him to play against with that. Do I wish Roderick Strong would have won? Yes. I selfishly would really like to see Roderick Strong versus Konosuke Takeshita, but do I think that Orange Cassidy was the correct winner? Also yes. I hope that he gets well soon, because rewatching this match made me realise just how much I miss him. I miss my denim boy on my TV. I hope he's doing okay. Number 8. Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue at AEW Fighter Fest. If you need one single argument why AEW should have women's tag titles, this match is it. 2 pairings that have completely different dynamics, but both embody the idea of women supporting women, which we love. When Julia and Sky team together, it's always so captivating to watch. They really do feel like sisters, just watching out for each other, as proven by Sky Blue constantly attacking Toni Storm on the outside while Julia got to work beating up Mina in the ring, ensuring her sister couldn't be blindsided by anyone. And I'm personally obsessed with the illegal submission hold that Julia Hart started doing in the ropes. It's one of my favourite wrestling moves in all of AEW right now. That's just an aside. That's got nothing to do with the match. Well, she did it in the match, so technically it does have something to do with the match. As for the other pairing, it really did feel like Tony was stepping back and allowing Mina to shine as one of the newest members on the AEW roster, showing the world how resilient and powerful Mina is. Tony's story took place mainly outside of the ring, where Mercedes Moné was watching on in disgust, adding just enough comedy to the match to give it another layer of interest, but not in a way that it's distracting from the action, which is a really fine balance to get that they managed to nail. Give me women's tag titles or give me death. Maybe that's a bit dramatic, but this match does prove that the teams are there if you give them the time. Between these four, and then we've got Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, we have TJ, Athena and Billy Starks, Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie, if they're ever on screen again, Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander, or Chris Statlander and Marina Shafir, depending on which way Chris decides to swear. Even Harley Cameron and Mercedes Moné herself. The women are putting in the work to really establish these very fun and very different relationships with each other. And now Tony Khan just needs to give them something to fight for other than the power of friendship. Tag titles. Give them to me. Not to me. I don't want to win the tag titles. I just want to see them being fought over in a way that's better than the men's tag division. Preferably. Number 7, Orange Cassidy versus Konosuke Takeshita at AEW Dynamite. I love so much that we got silly goose Orange Cassidy back prior to obviously Hangman winning the title and that being like, yep, that's the guy, he should have won it. Back in January, I was absolutely desperate for Orange Cassidy to become the next men's world champion, but now I'm glad that he kind of got removed from that nonsense so that he could be a silly sausage again. And pairing him up with Konosuke Takeshita, who is like the best that is doing it right now, that is kind of undisputable, was a genius idea. Takeshita starting off the match by eating Orange Cassidy's sunglasses was just metal as fuck. And Cassidy immediately producing a new pair is in the way that only Orange Cassidy can was so much fun. I love these two. I love this match. It was exactly what I hoped it would be. From the counter to the counter to the counter in that was going on, to Orange Cassidy luring in Takeshita so he could do that sick beach break on the announce desk. It was a match that flowed so smoothly, even with interference from Don Callis. And I would love them to get the opportunity to run this match back on a pay-per-view at some point, once Orange is better, because I would love to see what they can do when they're given time to cook and don't have to make considerations for ad breaks. I hate ad breaks in wrestling. Number 6, Orange Cassidy versus Mark Davis versus Ricochet versus Speedball Mike Bailey at AEW Dynamite. Orange is back for a third time. It's almost like I'm playing favourites, but we all knew this match was going to slap, right? Like, every single one of these people is at the top of their game with interesting and, most importantly, very contrasting personalities. The quiet and brooding Mark Davis, the upbeat and quirky Speedball Mike Bailey, the lackadaisical yet resilient Orange Cassidy, and the shithead Ricochet. It's a beautiful and fascinating combination of individuals that makes for very, very fun viewing. I want to start out by saying how fucking good Mark Davis is. When he returned from injury, he could have easily been pushed aside while his former tag team partner Star continued to rise. And let's not be doing revisionist history over here, like that did kind of happen for a hot minute. But as he slowly became more entrenched in the Don Callis family, it felt like we had the real potential for a slow burn, highly emotional storyline that could very well make him as much of a star as Kyle Fletcher managed to make of himself in Mark's absence. Once he returns from injury, hopefully, we will go back to that. Get well soon, Mark. He feels super unique for a big guy. Like, wrestlers can often fall on tropes based purely on body shape and size, which annoys me, personally. And the big guy is often the most stagnant and predictable, just spamming the same 3 or 4 moves over and over again. And Mark never feels like that. I feel that's a real testament to both his interesting moveset and the way that he chooses to carry and express himself in the ring. Not a lot of big guys are doing what he does, and it makes for very, very interesting viewing. And then we have Ricochet, my favourite little dickhead. If you follow me on social media, there's no hiding my bias towards Ricochet. I love him with my entire heart. I can't lie. I think he's incredible. And he also feels like a really unique character in the ring, like just in the way that he's much more expressive and larger than life than most. Him trying to encourage Orange Cassidy and Speedball Mike Bailey to fight each other, and then hopping on commentary when Mark Davis was wrecking people so he wouldn't have to fight, added so much to both his character and the match itself. And Orange Cassidy is, in my opinion, the most consistent wrestler in the whole of AEW. I truly don't think I've seen him have a bad singles match, and I liked the Mimosa Mayhem match, so shut up about that. I thought it was fun. He can inject comedy into a match when he feels like it, like copying Speedball's super quick kicks, but he also has this effortless way of making you root for him with the way that he refuses to, like, ever give up, even when he's hurt. And Speedball Mike Bailey is possibly one of the most perfect additions to the AEW roster, just behind Ricochet, because I love my little dickhead Ricochet. I've said it before, I love quick and unrelenting matches, which is why I love flippy shit so much, and he's the epitome of that. His Hurricane Rana that he does through the ropes in this match was one of the coolest things I've seen in a while, and I am very excited to see more from him. This combination of dudes was sick. Love it. Number 5. Young Bucks and Ricochet versus Swerve Strickland, Speedball Mike Bailey and Mark Briscoe at AEW Dynamite. Are you spotting any of my biases yet? With this lineup, no one was going to expect anything other than a great match, unless you're one of those weirdos that refuses to see how incredible the Young Bucks are because you hate joy. But I think it's fair to say that it still surpassed my expectations. I don't usually love a bunch of lads tag matches, which I think was making me err on the side of caution going into this match. But these two teams had such different dynamics that added to the match so well, with the Young Bucks leaving Ricochet out in the lurch on a couple of occasions, and the good team having a surprising amount of teamwork going on, which I think really elevated everything. But I think the MVP of this match was Nicholas Jackson. He has the most insane repertoire of moves that he can mix and match as he pleases. He's so quick and agile, and it is just a genuine joy to watch. And now the Young Bucks are poor, maybe Matt can start entering Nick into all of these AEW big money matches, and he can show us what he's capable of as a solo wrestler. Not that I want the Young Bucks to split up. Just let's give Matt a bit of rest sometimes. He's older. Number 4. Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May at AEW Grand Slam Australia. I felt it in my bones that this match was going to make the list of greats just from the first shot inside the ring of AEW Grand Slam Australia. Like, the main event, women's world champion, female referee, female ring announcer. Wrestling podcast boys will likely dismiss it, but like, that shit does mean something. It means something to me. It means something to a lot of other women, I know for sure. And as someone who's still salty that Mariah May and the entire women's division in general only got 6 minutes at the previous Grand Slam in New York, this felt like a wave of change for the women's division. And all that change started with these two. The Mariah May and Toni Storm storyline was the thing that really ignited the division and showed everyone what was possible if you actually give women an opportunity. And look, it's paid off in a big, big way. The thing I love about this match, aside from the mountains of lore that's contained within it, is that it isn't really ever obvious who's going to win based solely on what's going on in the ring. Like, sure, a lot of people predicted a Toni win just because it's the first ever show in Australia and she's Australian, even though she's putting on a British accent. But the dominant person in the match kept shifting from Toni hitting a ridiculous amount of suplexes on Mariah, which I loved, to Mariah hitting a bunch of Toni's moves in succession. It was just incredible, and having them both use each other's finishing moves and kicking out of both their opponents and their own finishing moves was just like that touch of genius where these two women know each other inside and out. They have lived and loved each other, even if they won't both admit that they loved each other, and will forever be connected with one another in this most fucked up and beautiful way. To me, this is the best storyline in modern wrestling. I don't want the Hangman Swerve girlies coming for me, but that's just what I think, and I think this match was the perfect way to begin the next act of the murder play that they were both starring in. And before anyone asks, yeah, I did prefer this match to the Hollywood ending match, mainly because I'm not a huge hardcore wrestling girly, not because of the blood, I don't mind the blood, but because I find a lot of them lack the flow of a traditional wrestling match. It's just a personal preference. I don't like having to wait for people to set up tables and grab weapons and stuff. I think it takes me out of the matches sometimes. Not that you needed to know, but now you do, for future reference. Number 3, Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole at AEW Collision Slam Dunk Saturday. I'll admit I wasn't excited when this rematch was announced because I didn't love the previous match and I wasn't super invested in the storyline between these two of them. I thought that the best thing about it was Shane Taylor Promotions being integrated into it, and with this being everyone's banned from ringside, it was like, oh well, there's going to be no Shane Taylor, so am I really that bothered? But I was pleasantly surprised by the whole thing. Obviously very surprised because it ended up being number 2 on my list. I'd been invested in Daniel Garcia's slow rise from the Continental Classic 2023, but then he spent too long with FTR for my liking, and his TNT title runs just not really clicked for me. And it probably doesn't help that I don't enjoy technical wrestling in general. So the things that made me root for Danny were the story, the failure and continuing to get back up, and the struggle that he was having. So once he got to the top, I was like, I'm not as interested because I don't love his wrestling style. So there was nothing really for me to continue to root for and enjoy. And I also don't usually enjoy the let's pick a body part and work it through the match type styles of wrestling. So you kind of would have thought that this match would be awful for me. Not awful. Awful's harsh. That I wouldn't enjoy it. But it was a lot of fun. I think it was completely made by Adam Cole's determination and Daniel Garcia's selling. This was a match where the stars are of similar caliber, so like truly anyone can come out on top. And it was obvious from the get-go that Adam was like focused on his goal of winning the TNT Championship, which is why I got much more invested than usual in him working Danny's knee constantly. I'm in the minority where I love good guy Adam Cole, but like this match really felt like we were starting to get the nuance in his character where this dark side comes out and he's like willing to injure and damage others just to win, which I think is also really interesting to watch. And Daniel Garcia is one of the best when it comes to selling. Injuries, adrenaline rushes, you name it, he knows how to do it enough to make it obvious to TV and live audience without it going cartoonish, which is like the secret sauce when it comes to getting a crowd to root for you, which is why he makes such a good babyface. When I heard that they were doing a rematch at Dynasty prior to me watching this match, I wasn't excited. But that actually ended up being one of my favourite matches at Dynasty as well. So, good lads. Good showing. Get well soon, Adam. But don't rush it, obviously. Get better in your own time. We just want you to be healthy, because we love you. Number 2. The Young Bucks and Adam Cole versus Will Ospreay, Ricochet and Matt Sydal. PWG 2016 Battle of Los Angeles Night 2. It's honestly mind-blowing that every single person in this match is now in AEW, including the referee and both commentators. But this was an insane affair. They managed to incorporate a fair amount of humour, as is the Young Bucks' MO when they're at their absolute best, with phenomenal wrestling moves in a match that never seemed like it was going to end. In fact, Chuck Taylor even joked on commentary that one of them was going to have to shoot the other to get the match to end. That's how many times this match seemed like it was going to end and didn't. And I can't praise the whole thing enough. It truly felt like the blueprint of what AEW would eventually become, a showcase of the best athletes in the world that were also allowed to be a bit goofy when they feel like it. It was beautiful, and it honestly makes me emotional to think of the experience of the people there who got to see it live, like a certified absolute banger in a red hot crowd of just a few hundred people all chanting in unison and losing their collective minds. I can't even imagine what that felt like. I think the closest that I could ever feel to that was when Nigel McGuinness came out at the Casino Gauntlet at All In, because I was there live, and it was like, that was insane. But I can't imagine being in a small room of people and experiencing a match this magical. You should watch PWG on High Spots TV. You won't regret it. Not sponsored. Just love it. Number 1. Mercedes Moné versus Athena at AEW Dynamite. It could only be this for number 1, right? We all agree this is the best TV match of the year. I think that's a fairly uncontroversial thing to say. This is the first match of Mercedes since joining AEW where she didn't seem like the dominant force and the one to beat. Athena always felt on equal footing, and it gave this match a new dimension that we hadn't seen during Mercedes' run so far. And it was a hard fought battle for her against a woman who can hit harder, scheme better. The first victory that didn't feel like it came so easy to her. The rope work was phenomenal, like from rolling through the ropes while refusing to let go of their grips on each other, to the moves using the ropes as leverage. It was innovative, and it helped make the match continue to feel fresh and feel like these women were improvising the offense on the fly, rather than some wrestling matches where it can feel like the wrestlers are just spamming the same moves over and over again, or being overly choreographed. Like, it felt like this is two women that are fighting and just doing everything that they can to put their opponent in the ground in a way that's exciting and it doesn't ever get stale. And I love it. And this was all the proof needed to showcase why Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena and TBS Champion Mercedes Moné are two of the best women's champions in modern wrestling. Possibly in all of wrestling. Women and men. Modern and not modern. I was going to say ancient, but I don't think that's the right word. Maybe this is slightly shorter review than the other matches on this list, so it probably feels weird to end on it, but this match is really just two badass women showing the world that we should be paying attention to women's wrestling. Not for the sake of equality or inclusion, but because the women are fucking awesome and can put on some of the best wrestling matches you've ever seen if you're just willing to give them the time to show what they can do. This goes not just for these two exceptional athletes, though they are exceptional, but for the entire world of female professional wrestling. And I think maybe that's a good note to end on. Women's wrestling is the best. I'll see you next month.